Well, hi there, welcome back to True Gooner. It's great to be back on Hangouts. First Hangout I've done for a little while. Tonight I'm joined with two regular guests. Ruben, welcome back.
Right, Seb.
And also Kenny Ken, welcome back.
Well, thanks for having me. Like I said, just got back from Spain yesterday, so like I said, you caught me at the right time.
All right, I got back from Spain the other week. Was it good?
Yeah, I was in Menorca with the family. Where was it? We're in Salgar. Nice, and we stayed in a nice little hotel. Nice week and a bit with the kids, so I had a good time.
Oh, fantastic. Well, the Arsenal look like they're back now. So first of all, we'll talk about the pre-season. So obviously, Arsenal did very well in Australia, did not so well in Asia. Ruben, will come to you first. What do you make of the pre-season so far, and how we're looking for the new season?
Yeah, it's been looking promising, to be honest. Although in Australia we played Western Sydney Wanderers and Sydney FC, so they're not really teams to brag about us beating. And then when it came to the friendly against Chelsea at the Bird's Nest Stadium, that was a bit disappointing, to be honest, to say the least. With Arsene Wenger saying in the press conference just before the game, saying that it was a big game and that it was for like the Arsenal, or it's for Arsenal versus Chelsea for the London, the pride of London, and the team that he put out didn't really come across as that he actually meant those words, because putting out Cohen Bramall and Maitland-Niles on the fullbacks, the wingbacks, they were, I think, although they're youngsters and they're learning, I think they were absolutely appalling in the game. We could have conceded about 5 goals just solely from their mistakes, like Maitland-Niles touching it down, trying to play it across the back line, but actually getting intercepted and things like that. It's just kind of youngsters that are trying to get through and they're trying to improve, but obviously they're going to make some mistakes on the way. And the Bayern Munich game was brilliant as well, beating Bayern in penalties. England beating an English team, beating the German team on penalties. You don't see that very often.
No.
So that was good. But yeah, I think although we conceded that penalty and then Iwobi went and got the goal, I think it was a deserved goal to bring it to penalties, and I think it was a good match in the end, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Kenny Ken, what do you make of the pre-season so far? When you've seen signs, you've seen promising signs.
I think the thing about the pre-season games is that I think it was good for our fans, our cousins, places like Australia and places like China to come see the fans. I know a lot of fans. I speak to a lot of these fans. One of their biggest things is to go and watch us play. So I'm very happy that we were able to get these games out of the way, and it was good that we took some strong players there. In terms of, I don't think it really makes any difference, because those games really were just about fitness. So it's like sorting it out from those one of those games where youngsters like Maitland-Niles and obviously Bramble and Martinez were going to get a chance, and rightly so. Pre-season, I don't think we can actually have in terms of pre-season unless we sort out certain things with certain players. Obviously, we've got players in last year's their contracts. We in terms of Jack. We've got people like Gibbs and everything. They're still at the club. There's rumours that the club are trying to offload them, but because they're on big wages, it's hard to get rid of them. Then you've got a situation which is Alexis Sanchez. So in that sort of thing, it's very hard to concentrate on a proper pre-season. When you've got all those sort of things hanging off you. Because of the games in Australia, they were just like about, that was a PR thing. I think the game against Bayern Munich again was just to, bed a few players in. I think the Chelsea game was a game which we took seriously because it's Chelsea. And I think Chelsea took it seriously as well. And they played a very strong side against us. And they look about 2 yards fit sharper than us, especially down there, sort of left-hand side with Alonso. Had a really good game. I thought Batshuayi looked really sharp. And, things where they were at it and we weren't. We played players who wouldn't be starting a game against Chelsea in 2 weeks' time, wouldn't be starting a game against Leicester. So in terms of preparation, it wasn't very good, and it was very demoralising as well when you get beaten like that. A lot of people of being very critical of us is because of the manner defeat and the fact that Chelsea, the 3-0 scoreline actually did do Chelsea justice, because I could have won by 4 or 5. That's good.
Yeah, well, it's always annoying to lose to Chelsea, especially because they're a rival.
Yeah.
But I think it was the manner of the defeat that got a lot of fans down, including myself.
Well, the thing is,
Oh,
but what that is,
well, the connection seems to be good. Oh, sorry, the connection seems to be going a little bit.
think a lot. Another concerning thing before I'll speak to Ruben as well is concern about the way we've been using Lacazette, in terms of, like, we bought a striker who scored 30 goals a season last 4 seasons. Yet we're not playing to his strengths. We're still playing the Arsenal way, which I don't think is conducive to getting the best out of him. So there's something we need to sort out before we start the season, because it's a waste of time. Player who scores all those goals and then getting him to link up the play. That's not what we bought him for.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Ruben, about Lacazette? Do you think we need to start playing to his strengths? Do you think he can be very good and promising for us come the season?
Definitely. I remember when we used to do all these chats when we were going through last season's transfer window, we were talking about players like Morata, Lacazette, Benzema to try and sign. And I always favoured us signing Lacazette. And now that we've got him, I'm really happy that we've spent club signing, club most expensive signing of 50 million plus add-ons for Lacazette. And so I think that if we're spending 50 million and he's going to be our most expensive player, more expensive than Sanchez, more expensive than Ozil, and we're not playing to his strength, I think it's just a bit stupid, because we've got this world-class striker that fans have been begging for since we lost Robin van Persie, and we're now not playing him to his strengths, which I think is just a bit ridiculous, to be honest. We should be playing him as our striker, our number 9, the number that he is, playing him to get those through balls in, because he's quick. That's one of his strengths in the game, is getting him quick, not linking up. He's not like a Giroud who can hold the ball up and link it. He's himself, and he's quick, and he's like Walcott, get him behind, and you play those through balls, and he's got good finishing. So
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree with you there. Kenny Ken, do you think we should stick with the same formation with 3 at the back, 3-4-2-1, I think it is, or do you think we should go back to 4-2-3-1, or do you think we should go different, like 4-4-2?
I think what's happening is that I think the 3 at the back, everyone thinks it's a success, and it has been a success, but you've got to realise, right, is that we're judged over 38 games, and over 38 games we weren't good enough. I think in terms of 3 at the back, it needs a lot of work. It's a formation we should play, because it's got benefits in terms of what it does is that it allows our wing back to push on, and then when we don't have the ball, to sort of make us a fire defence. And what it also does, it actually helps players like Xhaka and Ozil, because what will happen is that because we've got numbers in midfield when we don't have the ball, it enables them to concentrate what they're good at, which is in terms of Xhaka being a sort of deep line creative midfielder with his passing from long range and short range, and then now it's Ozil to sort of do his work in the last third. So I think when you play 4-4-2, you find that Xhaka's out to do jobs he's not good at, which is tracking back and being a sort of holding midfielder. And Ozil tends to, especially when Cavola's not playing, he tends to sort of drop back in the midfield and basically congests it, which means he can't do his magic for the last third. So in that respect, it is a formation we should be using. However, it still needs a bit of work, because everyone talks about it being a success, but there are certain things that worried me. Like when we play Spurs away, Spurs overran us in midfield. So that's something we need to work out. It's all well and good playing 3 at the back, but you've got to make sure you have the right sort of numbers in midfield. Also, again, when we played Chelsea in the cup final, even though we won, I didn't like the way Chelsea's equalised. There's a lot of defensive mistakes I didn't like. For instance, the time that Willian and Fabregas under the ball, and the way Costa was able to turn and shoot. So it's workable, but it's something we've got to work at. And obviously, we're going to play courses, obviously, when we play certain teams. But I think that if you want to make a success of a system, just stick to it. Don't change it because we're playing them. Because 1 minute we're playing West Bromwich Albion, the next minute playing Chelsea. Stick to it. If you want to make a system work, stick to that system.
Yeah. How about you, Ruben? By the way, Kelly Ken made some very good points about the formation. Do you think we should stick to the 3-4-2-1 formation, or do you think we should go back to 4-2-3-1, or try something different like 4-4-2? What's your thoughts on the formation?
I think we shouldn't do the 4-4-2. I think that's a very old school formation that I don't think really works in the modern game. We were using that 4 at the back formation at the start of the season, and to be honest, wasn't really working for us. We were in a really bad run of games, and we weren't playing well. And then as soon as we switched to that 3 at the back formation, something just clicked at the end of the season. Although we didn't get Champions League football, which I'm really disappointed about.
I think we all are.
Yeah. As soon as we turned to that 3 at the back formation, I think the whole season turned around. And although it wasn't quick enough and it wasn't soon enough, the formation was changed. I think that 3 at the back formation really works for us because we've got those wing backs that can get up and down the pitch, and those 3 centre backs. And you see teams like Chelsea. They were the champions of the Premier League last year, and Conte has adapted that 3 at the back formation, and it was kind of like the same for them. They were using the 4 at the back formation with Conte at the start of the season. When they lost to us in the Emirates, they turned to that 3 at the back formation, and then they just went on. They were absolutely flying for the rest of the season and ended up winning. So I think that 3 at the back formation is really good in the modern game. I think a lot of teams are starting to adapt that 3 at the back formation and are really doing well with it. So I think we should stay with that 3 at the back. It's working. It was working towards the end of the season, and I'm sure if we can stick at it, and then if we can stick at it and get our players used to the formation, then we can start playing well and use it and utilize it in the right way. But if we keep on changing formations, the players aren't going to know exactly what to do the best to their best of their abilities, because obviously they're changing formations. So I think sticking with the formation, like Kenny said, sticking with the formation and sticking with the rest of the season, I think will pay dividend in the end of the season, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. I think I'd also do think that we should stick with that formation because I don't think it's broken yet, and I've always said if something's not broken, don't change it. Right. So next we'll talk about players possibly going out. Now, obviously, we've heard from Arsene Wenger and the board that they are trying to offload some players because we've got such a big squad now. So some people obviously have to go. And first of all, we'll start off talking about the 2 players who we really don't want to go. And as you all know, Alexis Sanchez. Now, Ruben, what's your thoughts about that? When I spoke to you earlier last season, you were very adamant and confident that he will sign the contract. Do you still stand by that, or are you starting to fear the worst?
See, as the seasons have now started to progress, the season progressed from last year, I can't say that I feel as confident as I was about Sanchez signing a new deal. I think that this season he's not going anywhere. Wenger has clearly come out and said that Sanchez isn't going anywhere.
But he did say that. He said that many times about some of our ex-players, and they've been the same time they've gone. So can you really believe him this time?
With Robin van Persie and players like that have gone out, he's never said that they have said that he's not going. They've said that he might be going, but this is the first time ever that Arsene Wenger came out in a press conference and said that he's not going anywhere. And if Wenger's got that confidence, I think that will shine through. And I think Sanchez will stay and he'll see out the rest of his contract. Whether he'll end up staying and signing a new contract will be on how well we're performing up to January, I think, and towards the end of the season. If we're looking like we're coming first, second, third, if we're getting those top places in the Premier League, then maybe he'll sign a new contract. But if not, then I don't know.
Yeah. How about you, Kenny Ken? When we spoke to you again early in the season, you weren't too sure about whether he would stay or not. So you still stand by that now?
Well, nothing's changed really because we spoke last year, and I think the thing that shouts a lot is that from the start of the season, from January when this situation occurred, we've had no news about him signing a new contract. We had nothing in April. We had nothing in thing. In fact, the only time Alexis Sanchez has actually said anything was to say that before the before the Federations Cup, he said that he won't discuss his future until after Federations Cup. Then when he was asked in Chile what his situation was, he said that he wants Champions League football. Now, I don't.
Yeah, I did hear that.
My English is not probably the best, but not on both occasions. He never said or mentioned the fact that he wanted to stay at Arsenal. He never mentioned the fact about him renewing his contract. He was non-committal on that, and that shouts a lot for me. You've got to look at the situation as well, what Arsenal fans as well, is that no one wins here. No one comes to it with any credit whatsoever. Everyone deserves criticisms in it.
Well, absolutely.
Deserves criticism for not being honest about future, not signing a contract since January, and not giving the fans, which I think they want. Obviously, I can't speak for all Arsenal fans because Arsenal fans have got different opinions. But logic in me says that what a football fan wants is for their star player to show some level of commitment and allay any fears they have about their future by saying, I want to stay. Now, Mesut Ozil's done that, but we haven't heard that from Sanchez. And I think, therein lies a problem. In terms of the football club itself, they deserve every criticism as well, because what people need to realise at Arsenal is that naively, they feel that because you're playing for Arsenal and you're playing for Arsene Wenger, that should be enough in terms of like you wanting to sign a new contract. So what happens is that when you get down to last year of your contract, there's this expectation from Arsenal Football Club, especially Arsene Wenger, maybe the fans, that they're in such a beautiful stadium that of course they're going to sign. It doesn't work like that. You've got to realise it may work for players like Jack Wilshere, who's from like the South East London area, Stevenage area, but Alexis Sanchez is from Santiago in Chile. This is as much as he gives us everything in terms of effort, in terms of performance and goals, and willingness to play. The fact of the matter is, this is just his job, and the bottom line is that what we're trying to say is Alexis Sanchez isn't really viable as well. Because let me tell you something now, we're not going to win the league for 2 or 3 years, maybe even 4 years, and that's even with or without Arsene Wenger. So, if I was Alexis Sanchez and I want to win trophies, I'll go, because there's no Champions League football next year, which means he's not going to win it because his team he's playing for is not in the competition. And in terms of the league, there are strong sides in the league, like I can think of, and plus you've got strong top coaches. So because you've got strong sides and top coaches, there's a conundrum there, and that's why Alexis Sanchez got to weigh that up. And if I was him, and I came to be ambitious, I wouldn't stick around. Another thing we've got a conundrum as well. We're a business. Whether you like it or not, you can say we like, we don't need the money. It's not my money. It's not coming out of my bank account. You've got to be realistic. You've got an asset, right? A viable asset in the last year of his contract. Now, where I come from, when players are in the last year of the contract, they go for about 10, 15 million. We've got a player who can go for 3 times that, even 4 times that. As a business, we have to consider and listen to offers for his services, especially when the player can put us any commitment. Now, my hunch is Alexis Sanchez wants to leave Arsenal. He wants to go to Man City, but he'll go to either PSG or even Bayern Munich. But you have to be realistic, right? Let's not have a Sol Campbell situation at Arsenal where he stays and then when he goes on a free, he'll go to his rivals anyway, and we end up out of pocket. The best scenario for me is Alexis Sanchez signs a new contract over 3 or 4 years. He has a little agreement with Arsene Wenger that if things are not going well next season and he doesn't want to stay, then he can leave and we get a massive fee for him. That's the best case scenario.
Yeah, definitely.
Him staying without that, it's bad at all levels.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you've heard people like DT say a few times that he thinks he will stay, but there'll be clauses in the contract about competitiveness and Champions League qualification of whether they're achieved or not, and if they don't get achieved, then he'll be free to leave. I actually think that is what's going to happen, but I'm not holding my breath, but I do actually think that's what will happen. And also some other signs about it, this Sanchez saga, which is different to what happened with Van Persie and Fabregas and Nasri, is that he's not prepared to go on strike. Is that he'll stay around and he'll be professional about it, which is something we do like to hear. So that's also encouraging signs.
He say that said though. You got to think is the most important thing is he hasn't committed, and that's what a lot of things is. So I think what's happening is that people are going to blame the club. They are going to slag off the manager. He's not my favourite person in terms of coach. Got nothing against him personally, but no one comes at this very good. Alexis Sanchez does deserve his pound of criticism. And I think people need to be realistic about it and truthful.
Oh yes, definitely, absolutely, definitely. Ruben, what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because obviously he's a world-class player, and at the minute we're not a world-class club. We're in the Europa League, and we're not really doing anything in the league, and we've not done for many years. So at the minute, I'm not really considering us as a world-class club that we should be. And if a world-class player is at the club and they're not performing, then I think it's their right to want to leave because, you know, Alexis Sanchez could be with a team that's winning Champions Leagues and winning leagues, but he's not. He's at Arsenal. And if he wanted to stay, really wanted to stay, then he would have signed a contract already, which is my worry. And one thing also is the money that he wants. A week, it's extortionate.
But Arsenal have apparently offered him over £300,000 a week, and he still have
But that's just mad, isn't it? You can't, if he's not even accepting £300,000 a week. Like, I know in today's market, you know, you've got players like Pogba selling for 80 million, and the contracts are absolutely ridiculous. But if he's not accepting 300,000, I am not hopeful he's going to sign another contract. I think we'll either sell him at the end of the season or he'll go on free. Because if he's not signed a contract already, he's not going to. Like Ozil obviously clearly wants to stay because he's negotiating a contract as we speak. And clearly, obviously, that gives signs that he wants to stay. But Sanchez is, yeah, it's just.
Yeah, and also Ruben, I'm going to give you a scenario. What if he comes out and says he doesn't want to sign and he will not be signing a new contract? What would you do? Would you stay and let him risk losing him on the free next summer? Or would you take the money? Like if a club like PSG or Bayern Munich offer 30 million, or even a club like Man City or Chelsea offer 50, 60 million, would you take it or would you risk keeping him? What would you do if he comes out and says he won't be signing a new deal at the club?
If he's not signing a new deal, Ancelotti's come out saying that he's not signing Sanchez, and PSG have said that they're not really that interested, and the deal's clearly fallen through from reports that I've heard to a team in the Premier League. There's no way. Then we're not selling to City. We're not selling him to Chelsea.
No.
We're not having him face us in the Premier League. That would be salt rubbed into very, very deep wounds if he played against us next season. So there's not many outfits that will actually take him because he's not going to go to Barcelona because they've got their front three. He's not going to go to Real Madrid. He came from Barca. He's not going to go to Real Madrid because he came from Barca. There's not many teams out there that are going to be wanting to pay 30, 40 million for an Alexis Sanchez on the last year of his contract. So there isn't many outfits that we could actually sell him to. So if we could sell him and one of the teams said that they'd pay 30, 40 million, then if he's going to end up running out of contract and going on a free, I'd take that money, save the money that we're going to be paying for him in those extra wages in the year, get that 30 to 40 million, and then we can invest it into new players in the next transfer window and get another player like a Lacazette. We can, even if we sell him within the next couple of weeks, we can really go in hard for Lamar or Goretzka or all these players that we've been linked with. We could get those players with that money. So,
yeah. And on to that point about Lamar and Goretzka, there's two big players that we've been heavily linked with. Kenny Ken, will just come to you. Do you actually think we need to sign these players and we need strengthening in more areas before the season starts? What do you think?
Well, I think Lamar's a young player, and like I said, he could be there for a long term. But you got another player who's basically a perfect fit for us is Mahrez as well from Leicester City. It's clear that he's second choice, and I think he accepts that because I think what's happened is that we seem to have gone in hard for Lamar, but it doesn't seem at the moment that Mike saying that he's going to go for 40 million, 50 million. Monaco want the money up, but I've had no commitment wherever. What we do know about in terms of Morris is handling a transfer request. Roma are very interested, but Leicester want something like 30 or 40 million for him. He's signed a long, massive contract last season because, you know, him and Vardy signed extensions at Leicester and all of that. Not obviously next year. There could be a massive clubs can demand massive fees from him. So that's the agreement. And I think that Morris is exercising that agreement. He's preferred Arsenal, and I hope that Arsene Wenger do look that way in terms of Goretzka as well. He's going to be a fantastic player, but for me, I think Arsenal's biggest weakness is midfield.
Yeah, he's a midfielder. Yeah. Sorry.
We've got players like El Neni, we've got Ramsey, everything. But what we lack more than anything else, we lack a complete midfielder. So not just holding player, but someone who can just hold, but can, like I said, run the game from midfield. We don't have that. Xhaka, like creative midfielder from deep line, but we need someone alongside him who can be our boss. And I think that's where Arsenal will, in terms of not just winning the league, but may struggle with top four because they don't have that kind of player. If English look at it, obviously the player I've got in mind is the guy from Sporting Lisbon.
William Carvalho.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that we should be looking at quite. I think any club who gets their hands on him it's got gold in their hands. And I think that's a club, something like, because obviously Liverpool have recognised that situation because they're going for the guy from Cato,
Cato
plays for Leipzig. So it's one of those things where Liverpool's, the Man United's, all our rivals. One of the things that they need to look at is midfield, and I think something that does me. I am not convinced by Coquelin. Coquelin had a very good. Was in great form in 2015 when he answered for Arsenal. There's limitations to his game, and I know for a fact there are better complete midfielders there. So he's not someone convinced about. In terms of I'm not convinced that Arsene Wenger. I don't think they even buy the player, which explains his lack of chances. So that is my conundrum. Of course, I'll take Lamar. Of course, but if we get a complete midfielder, I'll be doubly happy. Really and truly, I think we need two more bodies in.
What's your take on that, Ruben? Who do you think we should sign? Lamar, Goretzka, Rafinha also being linked to lately. Who do you think we should sign?
Yeah, I think I don't think our goalkeeper's fine. Defence, I think, is fine now that we've got Kolasinac, who can play left back and can fill in at centre back, as we've seen during pre-season. And also now El Nene's been dropped down to centre back, and he's been playing quite well against the Sydney teams when he played there and against Chelsea. So midfield, I think, Rafinha would be a great signing. William Carvalho, like Kenny said, I think Goretzka would be a brilliant signing. I think maybe getting one more midfielder to bolster up and to give us squad depth, because obviously we're in the Europa League playing on Thursday nights now, which, for our team and our squad depth, we're going to have to need more squad depth for that to play those players. But then you think about the players that we've got, like Jack Wilshere, whether he's going to stay or go. And if Jack Wilshere's going, then maybe we should bring in another midfielder. But if he's staying, then do we need another midfielder if Jack Wilshere's staying? I don't know. Also, wingers. I'm sorry, but Walcott has been, I think, in my opinion, Walcott's been atrocious during. He against Western Sydney Wanderers could have had about a hat trick. Against Sydney FC, he could have had about a hat trick, and he didn't score any. Yeah, he's finishing. I don't know whether it's just because it's the season, pre-season, and they're playing the friendlies, and whether his finishing, isn't on point. But if that's going to carry over into the season, I don't think he should be playing. Oxlade-Chamberlain looked all right. In the
Do you think he'll stay?
I think
he's another one that's likely to go.
I think he'll stay. And I reckon we'll get a left midfielder, left winger. I think Thomas Lemar would be a brilliant signing. We got Lemar, Lacazette, Goretzka, and then maybe just like another player like a Goretzka to fill in. That would be good. I think we do need to get a couple more signings. I think Arsene Wenger does need to get his checkbook out, although he has forked out 50 million. For Lacazette, I do think he needs to get a few more signings because obviously Europa League we're going to be playing on Thursday, so players are going to be our first team's going to be tired going into the Premier League. So getting squad rotational players will really enhance our ability of being able to play to our full potential in the Europa League and the Premier League.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Earlier you did say, Ruben, that you didn't think we needed a new goalkeeper. But what if David Ospina also goes? Now Szczesny's gone. What would you say there? Do you think Martinez is ready? He's looking decent.
He's looking all right, but I don't know whether Emi Martinez is ready enough. If Czech ends up getting an injury, I would not be confident with Emilio Martinez coming in and filling in. Although he's 24, I want to say.
He's 24.
24, and in goal he's been doing all right, but if we had him in goal in Premier League and we came up against the likes of United, Chelsea, Tottenham, I wouldn't feel confident. So if Ospina does go, then that will spark our need to go out and find a goalkeeper. But as we speak at the minute, now that we've got Ospina and Czech, and then if one of them gets injured, and then we can go to Emi Martinez. But having that backup of Ospina, I think if he stays, then that'd be absolutely fine. And maybe come next year, if Ospina does end up going and Czech starts to retire, then we need to be really looking at a long-term replacement, which I think at the start of the transfer window, getting Jordan Pickford would have been a brilliant signing for us. But 30 million for a goalkeeper, Arsene Wenger's not going to pay that. But he would have been a brilliant long-term replacement for Petr Cech.
Yeah, definitely. Before we move on, I'll just give you my view on that. I personally think that we have to definitely keep David Ospina now that Wojciech Szczesny has gone, and we wish him well at Juventus. And what I will do with Martinez is I'll send him out for one more loan spell, but this time send him to like a Premier League club or a top championship club where he'll be getting regular game time just to make sure he's fully ready. And then next season he can come to Arsenal, then hopefully he'll be ready by then. That's just my opinion. Also, viewers, leave in the comments below and leave in the chat what you think you would do if you're in that situation. So then,
can I quickly butt in there? If Martinez does go out on loan and say one of the goalkeepers ends up getting injured, what would we do? Ryan Huddard that can come in,
yeah.
But I don't know. Is he Premier League ready if he ends up needing to come on?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he is actually. I'm always confident he can come on and do a job. But like you said with Ruben, if he's fully ready for that number one spot, I'm not so sure. Anyway, Kenny Ken, I haven't heard what you said about that. So, what's your thoughts on that situation?
Well, in terms of the goalkeeper, I think in terms of Szczesny, I think Szczesny's cooked his goose. I think I know a lot of Arsenal fans are lamenting the fact that he left and that we could have done with a backup. Even some Arsenal fans want to make him number one. Let's be honest with ourselves. When Arsene Wenger sent him out, when we first got David Ospina, we were ecstatic because Ospina was a more than capable replacement for Szczesny. And like I said, under any circumstances, you'd have been our number one. But we've got Petr Cech, who had a fantastic first season. Had a little bit of wobble last season.
Yeah.
But he's in the last 10 games, he's back to the standards that we know he's capable of. And I think the reason why I think Arsene Wenger's thinking of letting Ospina go, and I think Arsene thinks he'll be a more than adequate number two. Like I said, he can push. I do agree with 100%. We do need to get that sort of other keeper. with a bit more experience, if we're going to let to sort of push Petr Cech and be ready in case he's needed. And I think that's the place we lack. 30 million for a goalkeeper, as Ruben says. I mean, he's only had one season, albeit a very good season, but that's a mac of money on someone who's only been playing the Premiership for one season.
Yeah.
But that's the same with Mbappe, isn't it?
But I suppose that's why Everton have paid that money. But that's the market we live in nowadays. Footballers, players, like I said, are a premium now. And, decent English goalkeepers are very rare and very scarce, so they're going to go for a lot of money. And I think goalkeepers, there ain't many goalkeepers out there. There ain't many good defenders. So what will happen is that they'll be going for silly money. In terms of Martinez, he hasn't got many. It's tended to be like Cech and Ospina, but Ospina, I would like Arsenal to sign someone an adequate number 2 for a Petr Cech. It's out there. I don't know. But goalkeeper I would have liked Arsenal to actually had a look at would have been Caballero of Man City, but he's got at Chelsea, so it's a bit.
Yeah, that's a fair point there. Okay, yeah. Right, the next topic we'll be moving on is players going out, and obviously we heard the board the other day say that they're trying to offload some players because the squad is too big. And first of all, we're going to talk about Lucas Perez. Now, he's obviously, as you can all tell, very, very unhappy at the club, and I do really feel for him. So, Ruben, what's your thoughts on that? And it's something that someone who's definitely going to be on his way out. What do you think of this treatment of him? Do you think he's been unfairly treated, or do you also think that this is a Premier League and this is a big club and you're not always guaranteed game time, or do you think he needs to be a little bit more professional in his ways? What do you think about this whole Lucas Perez saga?
I do feel really, really sorry for Lucas Perez, to be honest, because of how well that he played last year. The games that he was given to play, he played extortionately well, like in the Champions League, scoring a hat-trick. And opportunities like that, he shined, and he really showed how good of a striker he was. Never seemed to give him that chance in the Premier League. He was given FA Cup games, he was given some group stage games in the Champions League, but never given that proper run out in a Premier League against a Premier League side, which I feel really sorry for him. And then for him to hear about his his squad number being taken by Lacazette over the internet, and Arsenal not even have the decency to tell him that his squad number is being given away, I feel really, really do feel sorry for Perez for the effort that he put in and the treatment that he's getting back from the club I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on it, Kenny Ken, of the whole Lucas Perez saga?
Well, the thing is, again, it's one of those players that I was thinking it's signing. It's clear to a lot of Arsenal fans that this is a signing that has been made by someone within the sort of football circle at Arsenal, and Arsene Wenger, because Arsene Wenger doesn't need him, he doesn't use him. We got that impression with Granit Xhaka as well, that Granit Xhaka may not have been a Wenger signing.
Do you not think so?
Which kind of belies my thoughts that Arsene Wenger's got total control of the club. But the treatment of Lucas Perez, again, is a complete waste of time of a player's career. We're in World Cup here, getting to the team for the Spain team.
Yeah.
The Rojas team for Russia, and he's not getting opportunities. He's come to a big club. He doesn't get the opportunities. He scores a hat-trick against Basel, doesn't get a look in, and he doesn't even get substitute appearances. So he's got every right to be annoyed. Master Wenger's management. That's something that is not one of his best moments, in my opinion, because you can't say that Lucas Perez isn't good enough to play for Arsenal.
Absolutely not.
From what I've heard, and I have not heard anyone tell me, like I said, off the record, that he's been a problem in the dressing room, which means the manager doesn't fancy him and has made that bluntly clear to him, which is in return is bad management. Our club that appreciates my club respect, and like I said, don't demand too much money for him. Let him go. I think that's just saddens me. But you've got other situations as well. Other players. You've got Jenkinson still at the club.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, Jenkinson's at the club, Gibson's to the club. I think what's going to put a lot of these players off leaving Arsenal is the fact that we pay them so well. The salaries they're on are amazing. I mean, like Crystal Palace, Newcastle, thinking, hang on here, we can't manage to match what you're getting at Arsenal, and that's why these moves for these players don't happen. But what we're going to have is we're going to have the situation we had with players like Aboué and Almunia, to name but a few, who the club had to supplement their salaries by actually paying them off to go. And I think that's going to happen a lot with some of the players who I feel that are surplus requirements. And I think the players that come to mind are players like Cole Jenkinson and sadly Kieran Gibbs, to name but a few. It's the scenario that Arsenal when Arsenal sign players, especially sign for certain players like Kieran Gibbs and Jenkinson, it's not difficult to get them to play for Arsenal because Arsenal's a massive club. It's getting them out of there, because only a fool would go and take a pay cut in this world where there's loads of money in football. You'd be an idiot. If you're going to leave Arsenal, then you're going to match your salary or give you a pay increase, or the club are going to have to pay you off to go. But it's a sorry state of affairs, and I've been very vocal, sorting ourselves behind who you know, our dear manager can have nothing to do with it. Our dear manager to have nothing to do with transfer fees as well. I want the coaching. I think what Arsenal should do is be like other coaches. They'd be on the scenes and then leave it at that. Which we have at Man City, we have it at Chelsea, we have it at Man United. So why not Arsenal? And that's one of the reasons, because who has like this.
You're breaking up a little bit, Ken. Yeah, you made some fair points there.
That's why I get quiet.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but yeah, you made some very fair points about salary.
Go back to those points.
Yeah, sure.
I think to go to those points. What I was saying is that I wanted Arsene Wenger to concentrate his coaching and not have too much involvement in terms of like players' salaries and for their salaries, and also I didn't want him to be involved in sort of negotiating transfers. I think that's why we need proper people behind the scenes, which we have.
This is what a director of football. This is why I've been crying out for. We need one of those because we need someone to deal with.
Seb, you don't need them. If you look at Chelsea, they've got two people to deal with that. You know, they've got Marina Granovskaya, who deals with player contracts and player salaries and negotiation of the contracts, and then they have a guy who's called Michael. But you can't argue his record. Well, so what that does, that enables Conte, Chelsea, concentrate. We need to forget the director of football, just get a technical director. We've got someone who could deal with price dressing the guy from team at Arsenal. Simple.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I do agree with you there. Ruben, we'll just come back to you. On the points of players going, apart from Lucas Perez, who else do you feel needs to leave the club? And don't mention Sanchez.
Yeah, there is quite a few. Carl Jenkinson and Kieran Gibbs, like Kenny Ken said. There's quite a few that are kind of hanging around, aren't really being used. I think a few of them could do with the loan spell. That could be actually quite good for their career if they got a loan spell. But there's kind of ones that come to mind that you kind of wonder, do they need to be on the wage bill? You know, you got ones like Chubrak-Pom, the striker. Does he need to be involved, or can he go out on loan? You've got ones maybe like Rob Holding. Could he do well with a loan spell to another Premier League club?
Also, Karen Chambers, don't forget, is back at the club, and he's constantly being linked to the move away.
Yeah, he's been. However, I have heard that Crystal Palace bid 20 million for him, and has been rejected.
The 20 million was it 20 million or was it 16 that got turned down?
I think it was in the region of between those. But I think they're either holding out for more money or want to keep him. So we don't know. There's quite a few players that are on the wage bill that maybe should either be loaned out or let go. And then there's some that we really do need to keep and tie down to new contracts. So,
absolutely. And another question is, how key do you think that it is for Arsenal to do well in their first couple of games this season over the year, so that basically we need to be fully prepared for the first game? Do you think is very key this year more than ever?
Yeah, definitely. I think that getting those first few games, and if we're winning those, the first few games, like the game's vital for us to win, because if we want at the start of the season fans to be on the side of Arsene Wenger and to be behind the club, we need to win those first 3, 4, 5 games. If we can win those and get the maximum amount of points, start right, not like we did last year, losing to Liverpool, losing to Liverpool, which was an awful start to the season. If we can get those first games and we can win them, then that's going to get the ball rolling for the season and get the fans behind the club, because we don't want to leave off. We don't want to start off where we left off last season, with fans, wanting Arsene Wenger out, the club divided. Wenger, he hated that because we are a football club. It was acting like the Wenger out versus Wenger in, brigade. It was like two rival clubs going against each other. Meant to be one united fan base supporting the Arsenal, the team that we all love. We shouldn't be divided by the manager. Although people have got their opinions and they've got the right to their opinions. Whether they went about it in the right way last season, I don't know. But we get that ball rolling at the start of the season, win the first few games, get the fans on side. Then I think it'll be a really good start, and then you can build on that.
Yeah. What about you, Kenny Ken? Do you think it's more important this year more than ever that we start very well? Kenny? Oh. Sorry about these connection problems, guys. Kenny, can you hear us? Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Can you ask the question again?
Oh, yeah. How important do you think it is this season more than ever that Arsenal start off the season very well, and properly, and we're properly prepared for those first few games?
I think it's always been important, but this season more than anything, because as what I said before, is that we've got some very good sponsorship. I said we've got the champions Chelsea, we've got Man City who have spent £200 million this summer. But Man United have spent a lot of money. You've got Liverpool who have spent, like I said, they're going to be, and we've got Spurs who basically are an extremely strong side. They haven't spent any money, by the way. They're a very strong side, and they're in a better position than Arsenal Football Club are to win the league, and that's just factual. You may not like to hear it, but it's factual. They're in much better shape, and they've got a much better side and much more settled to win the league. So important that we start very well. because we don't want to be behind the 8 ball. Because I think that even Champions League qualification, the last couple of years, first game of the season at home, we've been comfortably by West Ham and Liverpool. I thought they'll have a bad start because the next 2 games is Stoke at Britannia, although we gave well overdue hammering last season, and we got Liverpool away, which is going to be absolutely difficult.
Oh yeah, so, definitely.
It's important that we start really well. We start very strongly. Again, it's all about preparation. It's all about making sure that you devise a strategy that gets the best out of Alexander Lacazette. It's about making sure that if you are making a signings, so they can bed in. We don't want this nonsense where come the 31st of August, we're scrolling around by TVs at midnight. I've got to wait for a signing. That's just not good. That's not a way to do business.
No, absolutely not.
You know, if I had my own way to try, I'd be shut up by it. But I don't. And I think that's not good preparation. And I think that's something that so we have to sort out. I don't want a situation where you're basically got these big games and yet your star player has not committed to the club. That's not a healthy situation. I remember the situation when we had the same scenario with Fabregas and Nasri, where, we started the game against Newcastle, didn't have the team we should have had out. Fabregas left a few days afterwards. Nasri actually played a couple of games for us, and that wasn't healthy.
Yeah,
days after we lost home to Liverpool, he buggered off to Man City. So again, an ideal situation, but I can't see that. I can't see his future is going to be sorted by then. Which means the best case scenario is that Emirates Cup and the Charity Shield against community, kind of bedding the style of play that gets the best out of Lacazette, and I think that's the best.
Yeah, definitely. We have to use those.
To see.
It's breaking up again. I'm sorry, you're breaking up again.
Stop.
Sorry, can you say that last bit again, Kenny King, because you broke up again. Hello? Well, looks like he's gone. Ruben, what do you think about that?
You asked the question again?
Yeah, about the preparation. Obviously, I spoke to you earlier about the preparation. Do you think that we need to have done most of our business by then, or do you think we need to have some contracts tied down by then? What do you think?
Yeah, I think getting contracts tied down for the start of the season is important, clearly. But I don't think doing all of our business by the start of the season is vital because, last season we didn't get most of our business, Xhaka, Perez, Mustafi, they were all done towards the end of the transfer window, which was a few weeks into the actual playing season. And so all the business doesn't need to be done necessarily before the season starts. But getting contracts tied down so the fans know who's staying and who's potentially going, and maybe getting another signing in before August before we play. Getting another player in would be nice, but it's obviously not vital because last season basically all of our business was done towards the end. So it's not vital, but it would be nice.
Yeah, definitely, because I've always said for a while the bulk of the squad should be ready by your first game in charge. And then if you can get a cheap bargain before the end of the window after the season starts, then go for it. But the bulk of the squad needs to be ready for the first game. All right, so I think we'll wrap the show up there. We've been speaking for just nearly an hour now. Thanks ever so much for joining me. Thanks, Kenny Ken, for joining me.
Hopefully, give me that you can find me on. I haven't been out with Government for a while because I've just been tied up with it, but it was good to sort of join up. Nice to meet you, Ruben.
Yeah,
nice
you too, Kenny.
Like I said, your views. Obviously, like I said, you've got your head screwed on about the Arsenal. You love the club. Hopefully, I'll be able to see you, the charity, the Community Shield at Wembley. I've got tickets for that, so hopefully I'll be able to see you again because
yeah, definitely.
I'll not be going to the Emirates Cup. I thought a bit more competitive than that.
Yeah, I'll be at the Emirates Cup and the Charity Shield, and hopefully the first game. So yeah, look forward to those. And thanks once again for Ruben for joining me again. We always love hearing from what you just say. And yeah, thanks viewers for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done. I'll be speaking to you very soon. And keep supporting the boys. Come on, you Reds.